Sorry, Harry, for the interruption.
Yeah, no worries.
Go on.
We won't have Stephen's introduction for the recording now. That will be okay, I think. Anyway, we built a debugger. We built Visual Dev Tracker, which is a tracker primarily for Neo Express that runs in Visual Studio Code. We also built some other tools, Test Framework, Token Designer, and other stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Harry. So I think the next one gonna be Stan. Are you ready?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Stanislav Bogodaryov. I'm from Neo St. Petersburg Competence Center, and we are working on NeoFS and all things related to it. Maybe that's all.
Cool. Thank you, Stan. So actually see an old friend, which we haven't seen for a while. Colin. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you.
You want to probably also, you're also some very special. Here, like you have a special identity this time. So do you want to probably do a self-introduction as well?
That's correct. Yeah, my name is Colin Klosser. I'm a director of support at Exodus Wallet. That's a multi-asset wallet that supports both Neo and Gas. So I'll be participating as a judge in the hackathon. So I hopped on the call while I do some other work just to get a feel for what's going on and mingle with the developer community. And I'm really looking to see all of your excellent submissions. So I believe that's coming up roughly 3 weeks from now. So looking forward to it.
Cool. Thank you, Colin. Okay, so I think next one probably Dennis. You want to also do a self-introduction?
Hi, everyone. I work at Neo NGD Ecosystem Growth. So I talk to all the teams, and also we have other programs in the Neo ecosystem to attract dApps to develop on Neo. Everyone, welcome to chat with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Who will be the next?
Hello?
Cloud? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Claude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Claude from XLabs. And XLabs is concentrating on the Java part of the Neo tooling. We're the team behind Neo3j. And yeah, so if you have questions about that area of Neo, then you can ask me.
Cool. Thank you, Cloud. So I think Robert, you were on the.
Yes, hi, my name is Robert Oshler. I'm a natural language processing programmer for Android Technologies. And I'm in the hackathon, and without Harry Pearson and Joe Stewart's help, I'd be dead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Robert is actually quite active. I saw you almost on every workshops. Yeah. Okay. Who would like to be the next? You can raise the hands, then I can unmute you. Okay. Yeah, probably Joe. You want to also do a like self-introduction? Okay, probably not. That's okay. Who else? Okay, if no more volunteer for the introduction, then we'll probably just move to the question part. So the same rule applies. If you would like to raise the question directly, you can just raise hands and I will unmute you. Or you can also, wait a minute, type your question in our Discord channel under the Frontier Launchpad. Of course, you can also leave your message in the chat room. To answer Robert's question about how do you raise hand, there's actually this raise hand function in like, yeah. Here, like just Harry just demoed. You can see a hand like icon besides your name, like in the participation list.
Yeah, I was just demoing it. So the reactions button, I accidentally hit the clap instead of the raise hand too. So I even did a poor job of demoing it. So
That's okay. Okay. So do we have some questions? If not, we actually have also collect some questions in advance, and we can probably go through that document as well. Okay, then I will just share my screens. Please bear with me. Yeah. Wait a minute.
No, we cannot see your screen.
Oh yeah. Because I just saw like Pavel. Sorry for my probably not pronounced properly. He just raised a question like, what can be done on Neo with Python? What are the core libraries? So which of you would like to answer this one?
we don't actually have anybody, I don't think, from City of Zion on this call. They are the team primarily focused on building the Python tools. So Claude, for example, introduced himself from Axe Labs. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not, Claude. They build primarily the Java tools. The team in Shanghai builds C# tools. And then there are other teams around the world that build tools for other languages, COZ for Python, Neo1 for JavaScript and TypeScript, and the folks from St. Petersburg who build the Go tools. We don't have anybody from Neo1 or COZ on this call, so I don't know if we can really do a great job answering that. But the COZ tools, I know that Tyler is primarily, I know Tyler is pretty active on the Discord, so you might want to ask your questions there.
I think Joe is from COZ, right? So,
oh, okay. I didn't know that. I don't, unfortunately, I don't know everybody from all of the different communities yet. So
maybe I can answer this question a little bit. Actually, you can do a lot of things with Python on Neo. You can use Python to write smart contract because they support Python with a full node called NeoMember, and they have a compiler called NeoBower. And also when you have done with the smart contract part with this Python, and you can also use NeoMember as SDK to interact with Neo blockchain. Yeah, that's all my understanding. Maybe Joe, if you can provide some comments. And okay, I think he is answering questions on Discord. Okay, I can share with you. I can share the link of the NeoMember and NeoBower link in the chat.
Yeah. Then meanwhile, we're gonna take the second question. Robert, feel free to raise your question. Robert? Yes, I saw you raise the hand.
Yo, I'm sorry about that. I have two mute buttons. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for Stanislav. Is he still on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Stanislav. Are you
Hello.
familiar with oh, hi. Are you familiar with a blockchain called Theta?
Not really.
Okay, what they do is interesting, and I'm wondering if it's possible to do it with NeoFS on Neo, because I think it's a good idea. What they do is when they stream video, they actually pay other people in a certain geographic location small amounts of tokens for sharing their bandwidth. And that's basically their claim to fame. So I was wondering, first off, does NeoFS have the throughput to effectively stream video from a NeoFS hosted resource? And how hard would you think it would be to tie that towards making Neo gas payments live while streaming from such a resource? And I hope I'm being clear. If not, please let me know.
Well, sorry. The NeoFS itself is capable to stream pre-recorded video. So we have enough performance for this. But the video has to be already uploaded to NeoFS. We right now we serve only static content which is already there. If you talk about the live streaming, we have few ideas on how to implement this, but that's mostly out of the scope of NeoFS core. So there should be the service on top of NeoFS, which actually does the video recording, slicing, and doing the actual retransmission to the edges. So we have few ideas on how to do it, but that's the service on top of NeoFS, not the core NeoFS.
Okay, and a follow-up, if you don't mind, is there's been some talk on the Discord. I believe Joe Stewart was part of this too, where it would be really interesting to be able to automate the transference of EACLs between users based on sales. So in other words, NeoFS would be a marketplace where you could host assets and then sell them to people. And when you sell them, you're also selling them the rights to stream or deliver the asset. So how hard do you think it would be to make a smart contract that automates the transference of the EACLs on the NeoFS backend when a sale is executed?
There is a little misunderstanding here. So you can easily write a smart contract that manages the EACL, but this does not change the ownership of the actual objects. So the EACL is attached to the container, and the owner of the container will be the same. So we had a branch with native NFT support for NeoFS, and we were trying to do this ownership transfer built into the core of the system. But there are still few unsolved technical problems. Right now, you can list the containers, for example, owned by the user. And when you dynamically change the owner, you need to go to some smart contract and get the current owner from the smart contract, etc. So there are a few issues unresolved yet that break the immutable nature of the data stored in NeoFS. So as you know, the container itself is immutable and the object is immutable. So that's quite hard to change ownership there.
Well, then if this is too convoluted, just tell me and I'll forget about it. But what about the idea of, instead of treating the owner as an owner, as merely a source ID, and using a proxy contract to route things to one source ID or another?
That was one of the approaches we thought about. But we are waiting for the Neo ID to make this happen, because we try to make the NeoFS integrated on the lower level with the Neo blockchain itself and the protocol itself. So we think that this is possible, but we want to have some official Neo ID to integrate with for this feature.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Stan and Robert. So now I'm gonna just read through the comments in the chat room, and so I think the next question is from S. This question is actually addressed to Colin. What do we get judged when looking at the final product?
Yeah, and what I told him is there's three primary categories we're judging on. These are general. One is concept, relating to like what's the revenue potential of the concept? Is there value there? Is it going to be unique or really be a game changer in the market? And then there's project design, specifically relating to how it ties into the N3 blockchain and its features, its ability to scale, and the interfaces, how smooth they are, how are they easy to adopt and drive adoption and success at the user level. And then finally, implementation. So that also ties kind of a little bit tied with design in terms of how is it easy to use? Is it clean and effective? Does the submitted project, what we touch and use, align with the concept and design? So it's like an execution, I think of it as. So I'm sure that our judges will meet as a group and go into a little bit more depth, but those are the three things to focus on. So when in the concept stage, in the design stage, they're going to come together, and then we'll grade you on the execution of the concept and design. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Colin. So the next one. So this question from CP, a quick question addressed to Stephen. Outside of NFT and DeFi, what does NGD think N3's biggest strengths for use cases are?
I think I already answered this question in the chat.
Okay.
In addition to the DeFi and NFT, I think on N3, because we have integrated with NeoID and NeoFS, you can build some interesting dApps with some wide range business case, internet kind of things like this that has more real world business model. Yeah, that's my idea. Anyone, maybe you can also provide some example.
So anyone would like to add on it? If not, then we move to the next one. Okay. So the following question is from M. I'm not sure if someone answering it already because I'm kind of scrolling down from top to down. So this question is about will there be dedicated data oracles, like for example, that is the case with Chainlink, or are N3 oracles more general purpose and every oracle node is able to perform all calls or answer calls? Does it matter which node is executing the call or not? Basically, is there a special node or oracle setup required to call arbitrary HTTPS endpoint, or this is just available for every URL? So Stan, or I don't know, is Alexei online as well? Yeah, Stan will probably need you to answer this one. Okay, probably Stan's left his desk for now. So we can jump to the next one and come back later. Okay, so next one is also from Robert. So is it possible to co-deploy smart contracts in different languages? I'm primarily a C# dev, but there is a lot of COZ code that I'd like to integrate. Yeah. Is that possible? This is a question addressed to Cloud.
So it's a misunderstanding. I'm not from COC, I'm from X Labs, but it doesn't matter here. it's possible to, well, deploy smart contracts that work together from different languages. I don't really know what you mean with co-deploy. Of course, you have to have the developer kits for each language locally if you want to develop in different languages. But then, I mean, once they're compiled, it doesn't matter which language you used. You can deploy them side by side, independent of which language you used to implement them.
I can build on that a little bit. As Claude said, once you compile a contract to the Neo virtual machine format, it has, in addition to the Neo EM format, it has a JSON manifest file that has a specification of all of the public endpoints of that code, as well as their parameters and return value types, as well as the debug information that is used by the Neo debugger. And you can invoke those. You can't like combine, like if you had a bunch of like helper code in Python, you wouldn't be able to call that directly from your C# code, but you would be able to take a Python-based contract and invoke it from C#. In the demo I did last Friday, we had two different smart contracts, an NFT contract and a very simple NFT store contract. Those were both written in C#, but from the perspective of each individual contract, it's invoking the other without having any knowledge of what that contract was actually built in. So the fact that they were both built in C# was because I tend to primarily focus on C# as a language. But you could have very easily have built one in C# and one in Java, or one in C# and one in Python, or Python and Java, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think Robert already cleared the question.
Oh yeah.
He just use the smart contract address from other contracts.
Yeah, and in fact, if you look in the code from the demo from last Friday, we actually do that. So there's code in the shop that calls NEP11 transfer. There's like a little wrapper function that does that, and of course, the shop receives NEP11 transfers from both NEP11 and Neo transfers from the outside.
Yeah, you can thinking about like the native contract. It's also a kind of smart contract, and if we have the public address and the public methods, you can just call it. You don't have to care about it's implemented in C# or in Go. Yeah, that's okay for this.
Okay, cool. So the next one, another C# question, I think. So it's from CSFM, and this is a question for C# devs. How does one get the on-string address of the account that invoked the contract as a string and not unit 160?
Uint 160. So
Okay.
we've actually, I know that there's been some discussion. Stephen, you might know more about this than me. I know that this has come up once or twice on the DevPack GitHub repo. I think the general consensus has been that you should do that transformation before you send you should do that in your invoking code. Like, so if you get if you have a wallet of some sort or a custom DApp, you get the user's address and you convert it to a uint 160, 160-bit integer, unsigned integer. That's what that stands for, on the client side, and then submit that. And that, I mean, you probably remember you're paying gas for every single operation you do running in your smart contract. So things like converting strings to integers and stuff like that, if you don't have to do them in your smart contract and you can do them on the outside where they are effectively free, I mean, obviously all computing is going to have some, execution cost, but the cost of converting a string to a uint on the user's machine in their DApp or in their wallet, it's not going to cost you anything, but doing that work in the DApp, in the contract itself will. So the general consensus, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since the last time this came up. It's early here, sorry. Apparently, Robert's not the only one who needs coffee. But the general consensus is that you should do that conversion first and then submit the uint 160 value directly. I don't believe that there's actually a mechanism to do that in the API, the smart contract API.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Harry. So I hope this answers your question. So the next one from CP. So would it be possible to build a centralized NeoFS app where the ownership of the underlying file doesn't change, but the owner of the representative NFT changes? So similar to what the app Labs is building with NBA Top Shot.
Yes, that's possible, and that's does not solve the question of the actual NFT ownership. So, of course, you can have the centralized container and have the change of the NFT token ownership, but it will not be synchronized with the data itself. So, what we wanted to build is that some some mechanism providing you change the real ownership of the data together with the ownership of the NFT. That's what we do not have right now. We have some ideas, and stay tuned. We will want to make few proof of concept and find out the working solution. We are very close to it. Maybe soon we will write some articles.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Stan, for answering the questions. So it seems that we don't have new questions come up. Oh, sorry, hold on, please. So one more question here from Robert. So in ETH, there were gasless transactions for functions that were read-only. So no writes have to be done to the blockchain. Does NEO have gasless transactions too?
I think when you only call the invoke script to the RPC, and you can also do the read only, and you can call some scripts into the VM, and the VM will return the result based on the current state, and you don't have to pay any gas for that.
You can also see this with, for example, Neo Express. If you go to invoke a contract on the command line with Neo Express, you either have to pass it an address of who's going to pay the gas, or you pass -- results as an option. And that is the difference between I want to do a read-only query and get the results back immediately versus submitting a contract, submitting a transaction and making changes to the underlying state of the contract, which also, of course, it turns out takes time, right? When you submit submit a transaction for results, you get the answer back right away. When you submit a transaction that's going to actually change the state of the blockchain, then it gets added to the mempool. The mempool, the consensus nodes, whatever the primary will pick it up. It has to get communicated around the blockchain. So it typically takes, the block time is 15 seconds. So you have to wait at least 15 seconds. Well, depending on, this is the non-deterministic part. When the actual transaction gets picked up by the primary consensus node included in a block, that part is all, that part's non-deterministic. But then once the actual execution of that transaction occurs, it is deterministic, and it's executed identically across all of the nodes in the system. So that inherent read-write versus read-only is also here in Neo.
Okay. Robert, I just unmute you. Feel free.
Yeah, hi. This is one that I kind of wanted to talk about for a while. If it doesn't seem like a good fit for this workshop, just let me know. But when I was over in Ethereum, there was a company called Open Zeppelin, and they had proxy contracts. And a proxy contract lets you put a contract that is in front of the real contract, and that allows you to change the back-end contract any type you like. So in other words, you're defeating the normal immutability of the blockchain and letting developers deploy smart contracts that can change. And I know in Neo, you can do something, but it's via the update function. The question I have is, a lot of users, especially in Ethereum land, really hated that because mutability is evil. So is there a way to what do you just like leave out the update function? Let's say you want to promise your users that once we deploy the smart contract, we will never change it. How do you do that? Do you burn your private keys? Do you just simply leave out the update function? This is a thing that some users, especially in DeFi, are really antsy about. I hope I was clear.
I can't speak to the, general sort of nature of what the various users that will think. You spent some time talking specifically about, the fact that various people in the Ethereum community don't like this or what have you. So I can't speak to that in the NEO community, but it is, in fact, we started doing for all the samples that we produce at NGD Enterprise, we've been very specific about shipping update methods in all of them, because if you do not, then there is no way to actually update the contract. So you don't have to burn your private keys. And of course, I don't know how you would prove that you've burned your private key. Like, that doesn't seem like something that you could even, in any way prove. But you can, if you do not have an update method, then there is no way to update. And the only way to update a contract is by calling the contract management update method from within your contract. So if you deploy a contract without an update method, you cannot update it. There is no possible way to do that. Obviously, barring, the code is the code of the whole platform is public, and it's changing over time. But as far as I understand, that's the expectation for the architecture of N3 is that's the way you update. So if you do not have an update method, you cannot update.
Robert, maybe I can answer a question. Like, for most current DeFi projects, we can do two ways to use the update methods. One way, we can use the multi-signature features. We can let multiple person to do the update method, and the other more decentralized way is we can delegate the update method to be a DAO kind of contract, and let the project token holders to decide whether we can update or not. That's more decentralized way. But we have to keep the update method. Otherwise, we cannot do anything when there is some bugs or something to update.
Stephen? Yeah, I like the multi-sig idea. That seems to be a lot more pleasant than what I'm talking about. But along those lines, is there going to be an equivalent soon, maybe an oracle of Gnosis Safe for a proper or convenient multi-sig handling?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Well, multi-sig handling combined with governance can be a very complex affair. And I'm wondering if NEO or one of NEO's affiliate companies will supply either an Oracle or a standard library that might help with that.
Actually, there is a proposal for the notary subsystem that solves this problem, but that's not accepted yet. So stay tuned. Maybe it will be there. You can try it out in the NeoFS side chain, which is technically the same N3, and see if that's what you want to be in the mainnet.
Fantastic. And Stanislav, I have to ask next. So what's the approximate ETA on this notary thing?
The notary is already working in the NeoFS sidechain, so it's not accepted in the mainnet because the release is at hand. So it may be quite risky. And anyway, that's up to core developers to accept or to accept this 2 and 3 mainnet. So that's not me who should answer this question.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's the question. That's all the questions from the current group. So I'm gonna share my screen and wait a minute. So you should be able to see my screens already. These are all the previous questions which have been raised and discussed in the either in the Discord channel or in our previous workshops. So I think some of them, most of them have answers already, but we can still kind of go through them, kind of refresh, and probably some of them are common questions. So we have like simply kind of categorize them. So the first one is about like getting started. In the requirements, it is said that the developed solution should use N3. Do you mean using new N3 features that were not there before, or just using the new blockchain? So I think this one actually I can answer. Here is one of the requirements. It's basically saying your smart contract need to deploy it on the N3 testnet. And it would be nice if you can leverage the new features on N3, such as the new FS, new ID, new Oracle. But in the end, it's not a must. But in the end, you are basically developing in the N3 environment. So the next question. Should a web app be designed for a desktop or mobile user in mind, or both? Or can we specify which we prefer for the judges to access us on? So some apps work better for desktop or are better suited for desktop, such as certain DeFi apps, real-time exchanges. So we don't have actually, how to say, preference, so it doesn't matter. Hold on. Yeah, about the wallets. So Stephen, probably you want to go through this part about the wallets, and feel free to add in the information you think is missed out in the answer part.
Sorry, well, I'm answering another question. So what should I do this part?
Hold on, sorry.
How can I talk to Newline support developers? I think if you want to use Newline, you can ask them in the Telegram, or you can leave the issue on the GitHub. And also you can ask our engineers in the Discord. I think we can help. And what wallet support N3 now? Newline have already supported the N3D API, and O3 also supported it already. What's about the Wallet Connect SDK? How is it supported? I think now City of Zion already have a version, Wallet Connect version, and they can provide some demos and release maybe this week or next week. And I think Tyler can publish more information in their Twitter or Discord. Is there something like a MetaMask wallet for Neo? It's Newline. It's almost the same. It's a Chrome browser web extension. How do users sign transactions to Neo in web blockchain? They can use the Newline to sign the transactions. Do they use wallets or something? Yeah, it's a Newline. Yeah, we already use it in Neo 2. In N3, it's the same. Is Neon wallet? No, something just scroll up a little bit. Okay, is Neon wallet a trust wallet? I cannot get a hardware wallet. Yes, Neon wallet is trusted and it's open source. Yeah, just go down a little bit. If you are worried, okay, what's the best example article to get started with Neo NFT now? Yeah, we have already the NP11 contract in C#, and I think also we have demo in by Harry, right? Harry, they did some
Yeah,
tutorial demo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we published. I'll drop a link in the chat, but we published an NFT sample last Friday.
There is also the NAP 11 example written in Go in NeoGo repository.
Yeah, probably both Harry and Stan can add the links you guys mentioned in these documents. Then we can have all at once.
Songpeng, can you send me a link to the document so I can edit it? I can't edit it in the Zoom call. Robert, by the way, I did the same thing. I tried to scroll the document with my mouse wheel as well.
Sorry, I forgot, like it's under my control.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so then the next one.
So next one, are there any code examples to build a simple app for buying and selling items? I think Harry, maybe you have some demo or?
Yeah, the Neo contributor token, which is that's the demo that we did last Friday, has both an NFT and a very simple store where you can offer up NFTs for sale and buy them and cancel the sales. The safe purchase sample, which was originally from that Python version there, is actually not an NFT. That's actually for buying and selling like real world items. So the protocol that's in that contract, and to be very clear, the C# was the original one from HAL 9000, and so he's you guys know him if you've been on the Discord. He's all over the place. He's fantastic. So and I did this for a demo. This was like a pre-pandemic demo I did, so it's a while back. If I remember correctly, the way safe purchase works is I offer up something for sale, like say for 10 Neo, and then so I say I want to offer this for sale for 10 Neo, and I give an additional 10 Neo or something. I don't remember exactly the way the protocol works. And then if the person buying it, like say Steven, so I'm offering up, my bicycle, or well, bike's probably a bad example, but let's just go with that. And then Steven wants to buy it. He puts up 10 Neo, he puts up 20 Neo, and then I send him the bicycle, and then he acknowledges that he receives it. And when the receipt happens, I receive 30 Neo and he receives 10, right? So the idea there is that each party is putting up twice as much as the selling party is putting up both the product that's being sold and the Neo that it's worth. The buyer is putting up twice as much as it's worth. So that way both are heavily incented to finish the protocol correctly. Oh, my dog has decided to join us, as you can see. So the specifics of that business protocol, like, is that the right way to do, do an escrow type of experience in the real world? It's sample code, so I would take that with a grain of salt. But the thing that's nice about the NFT shop is, of course, you don't need this escrow period. You can transfer the NFT to the store and then either cancel the sale, so that way you get the NFT back, or the sale completes and you can do both the NFT transfer and the token transfer in the same transaction. So you don't have to go through that escrow process.
Okay, thanks, Harry. And for MGD, we provide a more complicated demo maybe next week. We integrate all these kind of things like the smart contract, Oracle, NeoID, and NeoFS together. And I think this demo can solve most of these questions. And the token standard, I think, yeah, that's all already answered, right? Gas fees, what's the approximate ratio between the transaction fee? Because in the typical symbol contract, for Ethereum. Okay, I think the gas fee for Neo and for Ethereum is totally different models. For Neo, we calculate each price for each OP code, and we have a factor depending on the current gas price. And for Ethereum, it's different. All the Ethereum gas fees depend on the current gas market and current miners. So there is no, yes, there's no like ratio or things like that.
Before we
Um,
continue on, I know Robert has another question, Songpeng. He's got his hand raised and he said something in the chat. So maybe we should take that rather than continuing to go through the document for a second.
Yep.
Okay.
Robert, feel free to ask your questions.
Yeah, Harry, we talked about this earlier on Discord, but could the parties here talk about what the general best practice is for refunding someone during a transaction where they paid more than what the item cost?
Right. So yeah. So just a little bit of context for the other community Neo folks. Robert and I were having this conversation on Discord. In the demo the NFT store demo that I did last Friday, the way that, and again, this is business protocol. This isn't really code specific, but I was building a simple demo, so I built a simple solution. You offer up your NFT for sale. If you say, I'm going to sell this for 20 Neo, then the store requires you to pay at least 21 Neo in order to purchase it. So in other words, one more than the offer price. And so that way the store keeps whatever's extra. So when the NFT sale goes through, the original owner of the NFT receives the sale price, the buyer receives the NFT, and the store receives the delta between the Neo that was sent and the Neo, the price that was set by the seller. So that has to be at least one, but it could theoretically be, hundreds. So if I accidentally type in like an extra zero and I'm like, oh, I'm going to send, 20 Neo or 21 Neo to this shop. Oops, I added a zero. Now I'm sending 210. What's the protocol? What's the best practice for how to handle that? From a coding perspective, it would be relatively straightforward to in the on transfer or on payment function to say, okay, well, this was 21 Neo and you sent me 210. So as part of that, I'm also going to send back to the original seller that delta. But I'd love to hear from like Stephen and other folks in the community like Stanislav and Claude, what their thoughts are about how you go about, how much should you refund? When should you refund? Are there any best practices around that? That's kind of what Robert was getting at. Stephen, can you speak to that at all? About refunding. If I've got an item up for sale for X amount of Neo and I receive more than X, am I supposed to pay that back? What is the best practice expected for these types of fractional transfers? This is not as much of a problem in the NFT space because those are typically non-divisible.
I don't think that's question before.
Yeah, there might not be a best practice established really at this point for this. I'm not sure.
No, we don't have a solution for that.
If I could add a little bit more, let me tell you why I'm asking you. It's not
Please.
it's not a hypothetical. I'm doing a DeFi app, and the app is involved with tracking the prices of cryptocurrencies. And you can have fast market conditions. So when I'm going to buy, for example, an option, by the time it gets processed by the blockchain and gets to the smart contract, the price may have moved like 20% against the user, and they may be paying too much for the option. So I'm going to want to refund them. So I'm worried about what is expected by people in DeFi and what I should do at that point as far as getting that money back to the user. It's a very real problem that's going to happen.
Yeah, it is a real problem, but it's a business problem, not so much a technical problem. As I mentioned, there's no reason why you can't, like if you wanted to build, why you would build a store like this, I don't know.
I think Edge, you already answered, like Flamingo does a slippage tolerance, but slippage tolerance is kind of it's a setting of a fixed price, but the question now is they want a refund, right? If I understand correctly.
Absolutely. And Harry, it's not, I recognize it's a business problem, but I'm hoping to take advantage of the minds in the Zoom session, especially since maybe some of them do work with Flamingo. What are they doing to solve this very real problem? So yeah, it's not a coding problem per se, but I would like to know what they're doing to handle this. And if a concrete example is helpful, someone goes to my option offer and says, okay, I'm offering to sell a call option that closes at the end of the month for Dogecoin at $2. And let's say by the time that it gets to the blockchain, Dogecoin, Elon Musk has tweeted, and Dogecoin has now gone over $2. No one's going to want to write that option for that price. So I want to be able to adjust the option to a new strike price that makes sense, maybe $3. And I want to refund them the amount of premium that they overpaid. And I will have to do this in real time. Did it help or did it hurt?
Well, I think the point that Steven's making is I don't know whether there's actually an established best practice in this space. And so, which is great, right? This is a great opportunity for your project, for the hackathon, to be able to lay down some ideas. And I think that that's something that's kind of cool.
I think I can think about it, and
we can get back to it.
I think this is a real use case, and I think we can do it in the smart contract, but just have to think about how to handle this, to do some like proxy contract to hold the token first and get a refund. Yeah, I think we have to.
Oh, no, Steven, I'm getting around that. Everything is, all payments and all payouts are done in NeoGas. The value of the contract in NeoGas is pegged to the actual cryptocurrency price. So I don't have to worry about Uniswap or other kinds of things like that. But what I do have to worry about is, what should I do as far as getting money back to the user? Is it as simply saying, look, but now that the price has changed, you are owed 1,000 gas, and I simply call the gas token transfer function, or are there other things I need to worry about? Did that make sense?
I think it's not easy transfer. You cannot do any transfer with this, because all the transfer method in the Neo, it's like atomic operation.
Well, let me give you the specific steps, and you tell me if this is doable or not. All right, they send me 1,000 gas for the call option, and I calculate that actually it's only 900 gas. Can I simply then make a transfer call back to the sender's address from my smart contract of 100 gas?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay, so then it is doable. And is that what people are doing, like in Flamingo, when there's variances in prices? Do you just simply refund the money like that?
You mean the Flamingo in the swap?
Yeah. Do you ever cause for refunds because of price, fast moving markets?
No, in Flamingo, we don't do this kind of refund. Actually, in the swap, we do in a slippage tolerance. It's totally different thing with the payback.
Well, let me ask you. So let's say I want to swap 1,000 Neo for, this is ridiculous, but 1,000 Ethereum. And at the time you tell me that, okay, well, I'm going to give you 1 Ethereum for 1 Neo. But by the time that the transaction commits, the ratio is actually 2 Ethereum to 1 Neo. What are you doing for the user?
But what's your tolerance? If your tolerance is very high, we still make the transaction successfully.
So the user specifies the tolerance? I'm not familiar with Flamingo, I'm sorry.
It's not about the, like, if the slippage tolerance is, it means like what's the ratio you can accept. Like you can, if you accept it, like you want 1 Ethereum swap 1 Neo, it always works.
So in other words, the user tells you how much of a variance from the current ratio they'll accept.
Mm, I think it's not only the slippage tolerance. It also depends on the. Oh, I think it's well, I have to think about it. It's not only the slippage tolerance. I think it's also based on the current price in the swap. But I think it's not the case like just a refund. It's two different kind of logic.
More like a limit order?
We don't support a limit order now. All the transaction in the swap now there is no limitation. Actually, when you do a swap transaction, you can see like what's the current price you will influence after your transaction is submitted.
Okay, great. I don't want to take up too much time, but this is just a very important issue. So I want to ask everyone while I had this opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for question.
Yeah, I think if there's any question not cleared now, we can always continue the discussion in the Discord. And there's actually another new question from Miko. So is there a way to link NEO blockchain transaction with traditional payment like Stripe for settlement?
I can try answering that. So usually connecting crypto world, connecting digital currencies to traditional payments is a little bit hard. There are a couple of ways how fiat money goes into the crypto. Usually, most people around the world do that on large centralized exchanges like Binance or some other exchanges where they connect their Visa or MasterCard and then they can buy crypto. That's probably the most popular way. I'm not sure if there are any decentralized ways. There are platforms like local Bitcoins where it's a little bit more automated, like there is escrow and things, but usually it's only done by large players because they have to ensure a KYC. So there are large kind of only big players can do that. So in your case, you want to have like a parking payment used with that. I think it's a little bit hard realistically to do that right now. But if your user has cryptocurrencies already, that's USDT or NEO, in that case, they can do a lot of different things with those using smart contracts. So you can maybe build your idea, your startup around that, and not exactly about fiat money entering crypto.
Okay, hope Dennis answered your question. So I think we are actually running longer hours than our original plan. So it's over 1 hour now. And I have to kind of close the section today. But in the end, thank you again, everyone, for participating. And if there's any more questions, you are always welcomed on the Discord channel. And I think most of the developers in that channel, I mean the NEO community developers and NGDs, like we are all on that Discord channel. So feel free, just shoot the questions there. Okay, thank you everyone. Hope you have a good day. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.